In this video, I will show you the easiest way to create databases using PHP by utilizing code. Step by step, you will learn how to declare the necessary variables and functions. I'm going to tell you how this piece of code will save you time not only developing your projects, but migrating them from server to server without of using their graphical user interfaces. Hit that like button right now if you're excited to save some time creating databases automatically for your projects. All right, guys, we are going to continue with the coding. In this part of the video, I'm going to show you first of all how to create the class that we will utilize to create our database, and lastly, then later on, I'm going to show you how to call this class from our main code of our main file to complete this process, to complete the process to create this particular database. Right, let's go to work. The first thing that I'm gonna do is to create the class in question. I'm gonna utilize this statement, class, and then the name of my class. I'm gonna call this class as I'm showing you right here, create database, create DB. And after that, we have um, to set the public, let's say, variables that we will utilize for this purpose. In this, or we have to create those variables. The first one is the server name. The next one is the username, password. This is the password of our database. The database name, the name of the tables. I have created 3 tables for this example. You can create as many as you want. And the next thing, or the last thing, the most important thing, the last but not least, the connection, the variable where you are gonna hold the data of your connection. So having said that, the next thing that we have to create is a function where you are gonna put the initial, let's say, values of your database of your yes of your database. I'm gonna call it as construct with those symbols at the beginning. I'm gonna close this out and I'm gonna put some variables over here to treat those variables later on. Well, in this case, we have to set the initial values of our data that we just created above. In this case, I'm gonna set this out just like this. I'm gonna put as in the initial thing, the database name. I'm going to put as the database name this name. You can put as any name as you want. The name of the tables, the server name, which is almost most of the times localhost. Over here, you have to put the username of the user that you are going to use to access to your database. For my case, is this one. I'm going to delete this name just to avoid confusions. I'm going to fill out later on and then the password that you will utilize to make this connection. I'm going to delete the default value that I have set previously, just to avoid confusions as well. All right, so having said that, we have set the initial values for our function, for our objects that we have created previously. Over here, we're gonna assign those values to my objects above. How to do this? Well, we can utilize this statement. The statement that I'm gonna utilize is this. I put this as lower cases, and I'm gonna utilize those symbols to assign those initial values to my objects. For the initial value database name, I'm gonna put the variable that I have just created in this way. In this way, I'm assigning this default value or this initial value to this particular object in my public statement. Right, so I'm gonna follow the same logic for all of them, just to assign their initial values. I'm gonna put this out over here, the rest of the code. Sorry. Right, so with that being said, we have set everything. with their initial values. I'm missing just one thing, which is the connection, the server connection. I'm gonna use a different statement and slightly different statement for this particular connection. For this value, I'm gonna utilize this statement. This statement allow us to send in just one line all the data that we are gonna utilize, that we will utilize for our connection. For this connection is gonna be required the server name, the username, and the password, which is set previously over here. All right. So this function is gonna utilize this data, that data, those details to make the connection. All right. So the next step is gonna be something like um, a flag that we can utilize to know if the connection has been completed successfully. This is the flag that we usually use, I usually use. In an NEAT way, we are asking the connection if this connection has been completed successfully. If not, the code is going to be end over here and it's going to show you the reasons why the connection has been failed. Okay, so having said that, the next step should be to create the database. To create the database, we are going to utilize this statement, the statement that I'm going to put over here. This is the statement that you can utilize for this purpose. I have created this variable SQL. This is going to be a string variable, which is going to contain all of data of our connection. I mean, of our database, the details of our database. Over here, I'm going to put in those between those symbols, between quotation marks, the statement to create the database, as if you are typing this in PHP itself. So having said that, as you probably know, we have to utilize the statement create database if not exist, and I'm gonna put the name of my database, which is contained in this variable, right? So having said that, the next statement or the next step that we have to use to do for the rest of the process is to create our tables. But before creating the tables, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna confirm if the connection and the variable exist. So if the connection and if the variable exists, just by using this statement, let me show you what is the statement. Okay, so if the connection exists, so in this case, we're saying to the code, if the connection exists and the variable that we just created exists, please continue with the rest of the process. In this way, we are confirming if the variables exist, just to make sure that everything is set as expecting, right? As we expect. So with that being said, we can continue with the creation of the let's say tables. But first of all, I'm missing something, which is something where we have to update the connection. The connection that we are gonna confirm, that we are gonna complete, is by utilizing this part of the code. We are gonna use the something like slightly similar as I did previously, but I'm gonna add to my connection something which is the database name. Database name is essential to continue with the rest of the process. That's why I have used objects because at any part of the code we can update those variables without, you know, doing an extra work or an extra job in terms of code. In this way, I just update my connection with another variable, which is the database name, which is going to be essential to continue with the rest of the process. So with that being said, I'm going to create my first table. This is the way to create the first table. Let me put over here this code, which is going to be over here. Okay, I'm going to utilize the same statement, the same variable that I have included previously to create the first part the first table that I would like to create. In this case, I'm assigning to this table this name, the name that I have put previously, which is my table one, and I have set something like the primary key, some columns that I'm gonna utilize later on. All right. So using the same logic, I'm gonna create the two tables that I'm missing. And here's something important, pretty much important, which is going to be essentially the thing that I'm going to show you right here. Give me 1 second. All right. So for the first table that you are going to create, you can utilize just this statement SQL and nothing else is going to be necessary. But after that, you have to use this point, this period symbol, because this is telling to the code that you are concatenating this part of the code to the previous one. And following the same logic, you have to do the same as I did in the previous part of the code to the next of the table, to the rest of the tables that you, or to the remaining tables that you are going to create. In this case, I'm creating just three tables. So in this case, I have to utilize this logic for only the the ones that I'm highlighting over here. And well, the next thing is gonna confirm if this, let's say, creation has been completed successfully. So if this is true, I would like to know that this has happened. So for this purpose, I have created this, let's say, function. With this functionality, I'm confirming with a, let's say, message printed by console that my connection or the creation of those tables has not been completed, have not been completed successfully, and this part of the code is gonna tell us why was the reason or what was the reason why you got this kind of error, right? So this is only to make sure that everything has been completed successfully. If you want to skip this part of the code, you can do that. I always do this kind of process because I would like to know if everything has been completed as I expected, right? So I'm going to complete the rest of the process. Well, I believe that for this if everything has been completed as I would like. Okay, I'm not using the right if. This is the if that I would like to close right now. Right, so after this if, I'm going to return false, or I'm going to finish my code at this point if this if has not been completed successfully. And well, let it on. I think that everything has been completed successfully. All right, so this is the section where I have created the code. This is the code that you are going to utilize always when you are creating databases. I'm going to put this code in the description of the video. And in the next part, I'm going to show you the rest of the process, which is the easiest part, which is calling this particular function, this particular class that I have created, that we have created already. All right, this is essentially how our index file should look like. We have to create both files, the file that we have created previously in the prior section of the last of this video, and the index as I just show it to you. All right, so once done, all that I have to do is to upload this information in our server, and then we have to uh, reload the page to see what happens next. As you are seeing, we are getting this particular error, this error. This is essentially appearing because we have not created the user to access to the database that we are trying to access in this case. All that we have to do is to utilize the tool that we have in the server graphical user interface to get it done, as I'm doing right here, right now. Okay, so once done, the next step that you should follow should be to reload the page to see what happens next. The common or the expected behavior should be that the error message no longer appears, However, if you check the database, I mean the server itself, you will see that the database has not been created yet. And the reason why is essentially because we have not created the database to give it access. This is the second step that we are going to follow uh, in this case afterwards. So in this case, we have to create the database itself. We have the option as well through the graphical user interface of the server. All that we have to do is to utilize this option to put the same name as I did in my file, you know, and the last step should be to give their permissions to the user that I have created previously to this particular database. That's all. Once done, you will be able to reload the files that you have created, the PHP files. Obviously, you have to give permissions to this particular user. This is the option that we usually utilize to get it done. All right, as I was saying, we have to reload our PHP files to apply the changes that we made previously in our PHP files in our server. If we reload essentially the, the database, I mean the page, we won't see anything because we haven't run yet the file in our browser. Well, in this case, the only thing is to reload the files, as I was saying, to run once again those files in our browser, and the changes are gonna take place. Right, this is what I'm gonna do over there. And once done, let's see what happens next in our database. As you will see, the database will appear, I mean, with the desired structure, with all the tables that I have created and with all the columns that I have set previously in our file, in our create db PHP file. That's all. All right, guys, I hope this video is going to be useful for your future projects. Keep in mind that if you want to learn how to update data in your projects by using jQuery, Ajax, and PHP without reloading your web pages, I'm going to put in the description box one video that you can utilize for this purpose. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.